Right, we're back here in Saudi Arabia. Israel Adesanya versus Nasruddin Imavov. People always like to do this after a big star loses a couple of fights. Oh, this one's a crossroads. If he loses, he has to retire. But when you look at Israel, what does a win or a loss do for him tomorrow night?
Listen, he's already cemented his legacy. I mean, he's one of the greatest ever in kickboxing. And to make the transition to MMA and to do what he's done in the UFC is unbelievable. Whatever happens with Israel Adesanya, there's no crossroads for him. The guy's an absolute legend. He's one of the best to ever do it in all of combat sports. So tomorrow night's just it's another night for him.
For you, is it almost like at this stage of these big stars who've achieved so much, when you're getting these sort of fights, it's almost a bonus, right? Like they've done everything. They could walk away tomorrow, but they still want to do it. They still want to compete. For us as fans, we need to just appreciate every last time we get to see them.
I think the question is with him, this guy he's fighting tomorrow is an absolute beast. And if he wins, it's another... It just goes to show you how good Israel Adesanya really is, and I'm sure he wants another run at the title. And if he could win the belt back again, it just keeps adding to the legacy.
Yeah, he would be a three-time world champion, which I think is like Muhammad Ali era. He's the only guy in boxing who got 3 times, right? On the other side, you got Nasruddin Imavov. For him, right, you can imagine training, knowing you're fighting Israel at the end of it, is probably the most motivating thing you could have at his age.
100%. For him, tomorrow, the fight tomorrow for him is everything. I mean, if you can go in and beat Izzy. Let me tell you what, we just did the weigh-ins up there. He came over and I said, good luck tomorrow, and I slapped him on the shoulder. I'm not shitting you. I mean, that guy feels like a piece of metal. I mean, that guy is fucking crazy. But, yeah. Beating Israel tomorrow is everything for him.
And in that division, obviously, we've had like a bit of a crazy week with Bryce and stuff. Thankfully, next week we have a chill one with Sean Strickland. Probably no controversy to have there. But you look at this division, you think this fight's relevant to next weekend?
Yeah. I mean, every fight that goes on at this level in that division is important. But tomorrow, I mean, obviously in Sydney, that's a big fight.
Yeah. Do you look at that fight as like kind of a... Their first fight was a little weird. I remember, I think you said you had it for Sean, but it was a very close fight. Dricus is sort of coming into his own, I feel, where his fighting style has looked, like you said, he kind of fights like a white man dances. But it's sort of like he's losing until he suddenly wins. He was losing to Rob and then suddenly wins. Losing to Izzy, suddenly wins. Do you think he's just this guy that maybe has a style that you kind of need to fight him twice to figure him out, and Sean has that opportunity?
I don't know if you figure him out. He's got a very awkward style. I don't know if you figure him out. We're going to find out next Saturday, but Sean Strickland's one of those guys too. His style of fighting, the way that he sets his punches up, and unbelievable jab, and I don't know if you can really train to bring somebody in to mimic Duplessis. He's got a very awkward style.
You'd have to like hit someone over the back of the head, and then they sort of like fool around trying to fight.
I know it's crazy. But, yeah.
We're here in Saudi Arabia. Obviously, there was a New York Times article that came out. I have to be honest, I was kind of wondering if maybe there's going to be an announcement with you and His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh this week. I was kind of suspecting something in the pipeline, but looks like nothing in the works.
It's the problem with the media, and it's always the problem with the media. These guys, get some information. You guys know how I am. If there's something to announce, we'll announce it. There will be no announcements this weekend. That I will tell you.
All right, okay. Well, I'll put the camera away. When we look outside of this weekend, I want to talk to you about some other things in the sport. The Tom Aspinall, Jon Jones situation. Firstly, are you still confident we get that fight this year?
Yeah, there's no situation. It's the biggest fight that we can make, and I know the fans like to mess with Jon or whatever. Jon Jones isn't afraid of anybody, and Jon Jones will fight anybody. It's just a matter of getting the fight done now. That's our job.
Do you still, though, obviously negotiations take time, completely understand. Do you still have a thing in your mind like maybe by July or something, if Jon's not committed, we kind of have to look at maybe stripping him and letting Aspinall move on?
100%. Listen, if we don't get the fight done, we move on and we make another fight. But not last night, but the night before. I mean, I was up in my room with my people till like 6 in the morning. We're working on lots of stuff right now. There's lots of really good shit going on right now.
Ali Abdelaziz actually said something about you asked a question last night about Islam Makhachev, and you had a smile on your face. And is there something special in the works with him? I'm just kind of reading the room a little bit. Is there something going on there?
Yeah, you're very insightful. Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff. Like I said, every year, I say to myself, how do we raise the bar? How do we go to another level? How do we beat this year? And every year we seem to do it. And every year there's always fun fights that, we get excited to make. And we're working on a ton of those right now.
You also you asked last night about the GFL, and I was impressed by your answer where I think people assume you're trying to shut down all these other leagues and stuff like that, but you've sort of moved past that. GFL aside, I was curious what you thought of BKFC recently. They had that massive Philadelphia show. Mm-hmm. They've got amazing athletes on the roster like Eddie Alvarez, Mike Perry, me. They've got all these great guys. But I'm curious what you thought of their success, and do you view them as someone who's growing in a way that they don't need to even be considered competition?
It made sense to me because when you look at some of these markets that I haven't gone to in a long time, Seattle, which is going to break the North American record for gate for a fight night again. Yeah. And then you got Chicago, you got Philly, a lot of places that we haven't been in a few years, they're starved for combat sports. It made sense to me. Plus, they had, local guy on the card and Connor was a part of it. So it all makes sense. But yeah, when people ask me about it, and I'm not saying this to be arrogant or whatever, I don't consider any of those guys competition anymore. I don't even... Yeah, if this new organization that's popping up, they're paying a lot of these older fighters, and these guys can make money. Awesome, I'm all for it. But I don't even think about that stuff anymore. It's not even, it's not on my radar whatsoever.
Yeah. I feel like the days of people saying to you like, well, Bellator's going in the same city that night and stuff like that. Those days are long gone, and the machine just rolls on here at the UFC.
I don't even think about it ever.
Have we started speaking to ESPN yet, and how are those talks looking?
Yeah, so we're in talks right now with them. I have a call with them. I go straight from here to Sydney, and then I go home, and we start talking to ESPN when I get home.
Dana White, thanks very much for joining me as always.
Thank you.
See you again in Sydney. Around the world we go.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.